Hey there, hi, welcome to the channel. I am Garrett, and in today's video, we are talking about some tips that will make your home look more cozy. One of the first things and the easiest things you can do to make your home look and feel more cozy is actually embrace a moody color scheme or color palette for that matter. You can do this in your home, in any home, whether you have great lighting or not, or really beautiful direct lighting, no matter what direction your home faces. A moody color palette will immediately make your home feel more cozy. That's just inherently the way it works. That doesn't mean you can't have a cozy feeling home. If you don't have a moody color palette, however, you can have an all white home and actually have a really moody and really welcoming, inviting space through the use of lighting. More on that later. A moody color palette can extend to any item in your home, not just the walls and the ceiling and the trim. You can do furniture pieces, a sofa, chairs, accent pillows, and embrace those moodier tones to really bring some warmth, character, and coziness into your home. Now, if you're looking to do any changes to your home that require any sort of work whatsoever, you can't make those decisions on your own, or you're just struggling to make the right choice the first time, be sure you head to the description box down below or go to intro.co/GarrettLeChic to book a one-on-one interior design consultation with me where I can answer any and all of your design and decorating questions. Now, if a moody color scheme is not for you, that's okay. Like I said, you can have an all white space and have it feel very cozy, because the next thing you could do, the next major tip you should consider for your home is a warm lighting scheme. Lighting in a home really sets the stage, and it makes a space feel so much cozier when you have warm toned lights. All of your secondary lighting sources, any sort of lamp, any sort of picture light, wall light, sconce, any of those things should be a temperature of 2700 if you're using LED bulbs. 2700 mimics an incandescent light bulb and creates a lot of warmth in your space. Your overhead lighting could be a little cooler if you wanted to, just because some people like that when they're actually using the space in their kitchen or a bathroom. You can go brighter, but in the main living areas, embrace a warm lighting scheme because it will make your space feel warmer. A lot of people say they don't want to have a warmer lighting scheme because it shifts the colors in the space. And yes, that's true, but that's the whole point. It makes every color in the space, every material, every finish, every detail feel warmer, and warmth means cozy. So you could be on the sofa snuggled in a blanket, or you can turn on those warm toned lights and envelop the space in warmth. Visually, not physically. And that's a great tip to consider if you live in a warmer environment. Using warm tone lighting immediately makes your home feel cozier because warmth is coziness. Now, that warm tone lighting will make your home feel cozier, but during the daytime when you have all of that natural light coming in, what we can do to embrace coziness during those times of the day is actually to add in more texture. Texture can mean a lot of different things. You can put it in a lot of different places. The texture on your floors, the texture of your walls, but we're talking about the texture of your soft furnishings. Anything like throw blankets and pillows, you can get something that has great texture there and mix different textures together. You can do velvets and wools, and you can actually get cashmere blankets and throw pillows. You can do all sorts of things. You could do shearling or fur pillows and actually add blankets in that same material as well to up the ante with the coziness in your space. And if you're looking for some of those pieces to up the coziness factor in your home, be sure you check out my Amazon storefront linked in the description box down below. Texture can be in so many different places. It's not just those small accessories and soft furnishings. You can go for a sofa with an interesting texture on it. You can go for a rug with a cozier texture on it. For me personally, those are areas that need to be cleaned and can't just be thrown into the washer. So I'm looking for fabrics and materials that are durable, sturdy, and can be vacuumed or, deep clean, shampooed regularly and still maintain their condition. But for some of those smaller soft furnishings, you can go with something a little more adventurous that maybe is a little more delicate because you can clean them more regularly. So keep that in mind as you're looking to embrace texture and coziness in your home. You can also look for other things that have texture and finish or visual texture to them, like a woven basket or a fluted detail. These all have texture that add to that sense of coziness in the space and are worth considering. Another great way, regardless of your style, to embrace coziness in your home is actually to work in a tonal color palette. I personally personally like contrast and I like a little bit of glamour in my space, but if you like a space that is a little more simplistic in a good way, that has an easier sensibility on the eye, your eye moves through it softer, you can embrace a tonal color scheme no matter what that color is. You can go color drench a space and use everything in that same tone. I absolutely love that. Or you can do a space in all neutral and soft tones as well. This lends a space to feeling cozier because it's more relaxing and easier to visually digest. Now, if you're like me and you like something that's a little bit more glamorous, if you will, and a little more high contrast, I embrace gold tones in this space because gold is naturally a warmer tone. Brass is as well. So embracing those means that I get a little bit of that warmth, a little bit of that glamour I want. And at night, when I have those warm tone lights on, they read as being so much softer and elegant in the space. And that elegance, that sophistication always reads as being a little cozier, a little warmer, and a little more inviting. So embrace tonality and a soft color scheme in your space, but don't be afraid to add a little bit of contrast in there as well because we can layer it in and soften it up just through the lighting. Something else you can do in your home is embrace some of the best design content on the internet that you can actually use in your home and benefit from by joining us and hitting that subscribe button, becoming a part of our LeChic family, and aiding us in our quest to 1 million subscribers and beyond. All it takes is hitting that subscribe button, and we would absolutely love to have you, and I would greatly appreciate if everyone could give this video a like. Now, while subscribing will definitely benefit your home, something that will make it feel cozier is actually to use oversized seating. And I mean extra deep seating that's a little bit bigger than standard because when we're comfortable, we're definitely cozy. When we can snuggle up, we're definitely cozy. And having a space that doesn't feel stark, sterile, and a little empty also will make it feel a little cozier and more inviting and welcoming in a space that is enjoyable. Now, some spaces in your home will be a little more formal, and that's okay, but you can actually use extra deep seating in those formal spaces as well to make them more comfortable and enjoyable. And we're getting to a point today where we're not so into these hyper formalized spaces, and that's okay. We want spaces that are comfortable and usable every single solitary day we are in our home. So embracing some of those cozy features in those more formal spaces. Speaking of being cozy, you may see him in the background getting cozy and comfortable on the sofa, walking around. He wanted to sit on my lap. So this is Arden, and he's embracing his coziness by snuggling up with something he loves, which I guess is me. Now, whether or not you're allowing your puppy dog to lay on that sofa using something that's extra deep will definitely add a coziness to your space. Another way you can add coziness into your home is by using more soft layers. Things like pillows, blankets, any of that will definitely make your space feel softer, more inviting, and more welcoming. And you can actually take it to the next level by using them in unexpected areas. You could use a basket with blankets in it that are draped in a strategic way. You can actually use your little puppy bed and throw a blanket on top of that that matches your aesthetic and decor. And that's actually great because it's more easily washable than a dog bed is itself. And we actually have a quilt rack that we can use, a Victorian quilt rack that I can throw blankets on, even if they don't style and sit the best on it, or they don't look that great thrown over the sofa, well, they'll look cute on that rack, and that's a great thing to have in the space. Embracing some of these softer accessories is wonderful to incorporate in your space. So throw a pillow on every seat. Maybe you put an extra 1 or 2 on your sofa to really up the ante with it. Also, be sure you're looking at these and fluffing them regularly and making sure they have that soft feeling to them. Crushed and smushed pillows, they look like they're lived in, but they don't always look like they're cozy and comfortable. So fluffing them up, you don't have to karate chop them and do all of that and fake the staging and styling of them. That's not great either. But having them be fluffed and looking comfortable and soft is going to increase the coziness factor in your space. So fluff those blankets, fluff the pillows, and make them look full, and they will immediately look softer and more comfortable and more cozy. Another great tip to increase the coziness factor in any space in your home is to increase the amount of lighting. We already talked about soft lighting and warm tone lighting, which I think is wonderful, but increasing the amount of it increases the coziness. I personally believe in having a lamp in every corner, plus an extra 1 or 2 or 4 somewhere else in the space. Having as many lamps as possible really increases the coziness factor. And when you're looking for lamps or adding any sort of lighting into your space, we want lighting that projects onto a wall or is not a direct source of lighting. We don't want to look at a light bulb. That's not comfortable, that's not cozy, it's not warm, welcoming, or inviting. It's actually a little too harsh and gives me a migraine. And looking into a harsh bulb is not comfortable for anyone. So when you're adding additional lighting sources in your home, look for them that have oversized shades on them. Look for them that are the correct height where you can sit on the sofa and you're not looking directly into a bulb. Look for, reading lights and task lights. All of these can be really wonderful. Right now I'm obsessed with a banker's lamp, a banker style lamp. These are fantastic because I can pivot them, I can use them in interesting areas in different ways. I'll accessorize my home with a chair and a lamp loosely thrown on it, kind of this cluttered sensibility, but that is actually really styled and staged meticulously. I love that. Something that feels comfortable and soft, casual and inviting, but a lot of lighting, soft lighting, warm tone lighting, has an elegant feel about it, a softness. Now, while we're adding lots of lighting into your home that's going to increase the coziness factor, let's actually look at reducing visual clutter, because that's a big tip I want you to take from this. When you're adding a lot of new things into your home, whether it's pillows and blankets and lamps and lighting, you tend to increase the amount of visual clutter your space has. And visual clutter can mean a lot of things. It's not just physical clutter. Yes, that will add to the visual clutter. However, something you can consider is reducing a little bit of the contrast in the space and some of the patterns in the space. Opting for some solid materials or fabrics will really reduce the visual clutter you have going on. And that's not to say you can't use any pattern in the space. If you're opting to use patterns, look for them that are tonal, that are matching, that work cohesively within the space to provide that soft color scheme that has an elevated feel to it. We don't want everything to be, our eye is jumping from area to area, place to place. That feels busy, not cozy. So reducing the amount of pattern and movement you have in the space will also increase the coziness, or at least let us embrace it and see it and not overwhelm us to the extreme. In my home, I'm going to use a pattern or two. I might have something that's a floral, something that's a stripe, but they're going to be very similar in their tones and colors. I'll also have solids of those in the space so that we have something strong to ground that element into. In the colors in those patterns to really reduce the movement and the kind of visual static that we have happening, and it will make your space feel more easily digestible. We'll be able to see it, our eye will move through it, and we can embrace the coziness that we've brought in already. Something else you can do in your space that will enhance the coziness is actually to de-formalize. And the way we de-formalize a space is to use less symmetry and more balance. So asymmetry is just about things being off and not being perfectly symmetrical everywhere. In my living room, for example, this is a formal space, but instead of using two sofas directly across from each other, I have a sofa and a pair of chairs with a small table. That means that I have balance. Yes, the space feels symmetrical, but it's not perfectly symmetrical from side to side. I can cuddle up on a chair and read a book. I can, stretch out on my sofa if I want to and have a nap in my formal living room because I've embraced that coziness and asymmetry into the space. Perfectly symmetrical spaces tend to feel more formal and a little more hyper designed, as where cozier spaces have a softness to them because they typically have, a big sectional and maybe an oversized accent chair, some blankets thrown over them. You feel like you could cuddle up and snuggle in those spaces. So having something that is very symmetrical feels a little bit more harsh in contrast. And that's absolutely okay. We can soften that up through the color schemes and through the lighting we're using. We can add softer accessories, and you can actually create asymmetry just through the accessories you're using within the space. But if you're starting from ground zero and you have no furniture whatsoever, you can embrace that coziness by using asymmetry and balance as opposed to perfect symmetry. Now, there is a place for symmetry in your home because the next thing we can do is add in a focal point or centralize your living room layout or your dining room layout, whatever the layout is, around a focal point. And a focal point can be a lot of different things. In your home usually has one natural focal point. That typically is something like an oversized window or an archway, a doorway, or a fireplace. And a fireplace is a great thing to add to embrace that cozy factor into your space. That may not be accessible to everyone, and that's okay. There are plenty of alternatives out there, but adding in a fireplace or enhancing your fireplace is a really wonderful way to embrace a cozy factor into your space and create a focal point to centralize a floor plan around. With that said, if you do not have a fireplace or cannot add one because maybe you're renting, maybe you have an apartment, maybe that's just not an option for you, there are alternatives. Electric fireplaces have come a long way in recent years, and they look really good. They give off actual heat, and that's something worth considering in your home. They just plug in and you can have them built in. You can have a mantle put on them if adding a fireplace isn't something that is available to you in your home. You can also look for alternatives. There are freestanding units you can place in a room that look like a fireplace. That's a great tip for people who are renting, or if you just don't have the budget to commit to having something built in, this is a good alternative. Something else worth considering if you are like, hey, you know what, we don't want a fireplace at all, we don't need that whatsoever. Hang your TV slightly lower with a good sight line so you can see it while you are comfortably relaxing on your sofa. And then we can just throw a fireplace screen on that. We can actually add lighting onto the back of a television to really soften up the look and feel of it and embrace that coziness and warmth within the space to create almost a theater-like atmosphere. That can be enough to get you that cozy factor and really enhance the space. And it can't be understated. Often when I'm meeting with clients, one of the first things I recommend to them is to mount their television on the wall and have the cords hidden, whether that's through a cable management system or having a contractor install them behind a wall. These are all things you can embrace in your home to really increase the coziness factor and enhance the design of it overall. And you can add in a coziness to your home without major commitments, and I think that's fantastic. Now that we've talked about how to make your home more cozy, let's talk about how to elevate the ordinary and upgrade your home. Be sure you check out this video right over here, and I will see you over there. Oh, and by the way, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.